What's going on, y'all? It's Athletes Culture again, coming at you with another video. So as the NBA's season comes closer, and teams are starting to settle in as to what their rosters are going to be before the start of the season. That season being the 2021 season. You know, there's still a lot of movement that could possibly be made, a lot of big moves. And the reason why I bring this up is because there's one particular player, NBA player, a young stud who's been brought up in a major trade deal. And this is just rumor and speculation. Everything I'm putting out right now is just speculations. Everybody who claims to be an insider isn't really an insider the way they act. So let me just put that out there. But just food for thought is, you know, Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, I always like to look at players who are like that 25 and under or around that age because they're about to enter their prime. They're going to be the next superstars of the league. And, Philadelphia has really been a team that right now I feel like they're a piece away from really being the surefire favorites for the NBA title. But, if they don't necessarily want to settle in with Ben Simmons because he doesn't shoot threes, I mean, there is a trade possibility that is out there that will be intriguing for both Philadelphia and Golden State. But I think more so for Golden State, and that would be to offer Andrew Wiggins for Ben Simmons. Now, I don't necessarily know or have it up. I can look it up right now on how the salaries would necessarily work out. But Ben Simmons for Andrew Wiggins will definitely put Golden State back in contention for an NBA title, even with the absence of Klay Thompson. Now look at this. Ben Simmons is a 6'10", about 240, 230 type of point forward, LeBron-esque. He was up there in the Defensive Player of the Year award votings. He was one of the best defensive players in the NBA this past season. So right there, you already have that covered. You add in another ball handler, which Golden State was known for during their title runs. They had multiple ball handlers, versatility, and people forget they also had the length and the size. I said it, 6'10", 230 to 240. Not only are you getting the length, you're getting the size, and you're getting the defensive capabilities and the ball handling. Only thing you're really lacking on is the shooting, and I think it's just a matter of him just taking the shots. You're going to miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So Ben Simmons on Golden State really puts him in the driver's seat for a championship. I mean, I feel like at that point in time, they caused a lot of mismatch problems for the Lakers because Wiseman definitely will match up and probably be able to run a lot of the Laker bigs at the center spot. Remember what I said, the center spot. Not necessarily him being able to handle Anthony Davis because Anthony Davis is playing the floor. But, at the center spot, he'll be able to run like a gazelle and run those centers like Marc Gasol out the gym. Then you have Ben Simmons there, and Draymond Green there. Those guys can rebound with the best of them. They can do their thing. So you have two Defensive Player of the Year caliber players, one who actually won the award. Then you have Steph Curry there, and then Kelly Oubre, great shooters. Steph Curry being the greatest shooter of all time, hands down. So really that right there really puts Golden State in a huge position. I mean, that is a matchup nightmare. I don't necessarily see too many teams, especially with the way Golden State is going to be playing. They're going to want to play fast, up-tempo, get up and down the floor. They have Wiseman, the number 2 pick. He's a big center with size that can get up down the floor with them. And then at the backup, they have players like Marquise Chris, Eric Pascal, Jordan Poole, players that can really get off and do something. Even Damian Lee and Ken Bazemore, too. They have some players that can help off the bench. So they're a team that's going to be able to want to play fast, hit threes, and also be able to defend. So their thing isn't necessarily girth, but they're going to have a lot of size. No homo. But they're going to have a lot of size there, and they're going to be able to compete, especially if they add the likes of Ben Simmons. And then hopefully the year following, when you get Klay Thompson back at the mix, at the 2-guard spot, man, Golden State would be a nightmare. A nightmare. And like I said, I don't even have the salary information open. But if they still even have the salary room to even sign a Giannis Antetokounmpo, which I doubt because I think they're in the luxury. But if they did, could you imagine what that would be? Like they said, they would definitely be light years ahead of any franchise in the NBA. But that's just food for thought, just putting up Andrew Wiggins, for somebody like Ben Simmons. I think that would be a deal worth uh, exploring. That's something that I wouldn't necessarily take off the table. And actually, now that I pull it up, you can actually run both salaries straight up. Both salaries straight up for a trade. Ben Simmons for Andrew Wiggins. And then for the Sixers, getting Andrew Wiggins, like I said, the Sixers really just need, a go-to scorer, somebody that when things get tight, they can go to. Now, has Andrew Wiggins proven to be that per se? Not necessarily. He hasn't really proven that in his time in the NBA because of his, laid back demeanor. He's not really somebody that's just thrust himself into the forefront. But even Jimmy Butler, a former teammate of his in Minnesota, and we all know how that went down, even said Andrew Wiggins was honestly one of the most, if not the most talented player on that team. So Andrew Wiggins has a talent. Standing at 6'8", 200 plus pounds. This is a player, with the athleticism that he has. If you want to talk about what a basketball player looks like, Andrew Wiggins' face will pop up. Players like him and Rudy Gay, they are the prototypical basketball type players, that 6'8", long, athletic type of players, those are the type of players that, just say like they were just born to play basketball, and Andrew Wiggins he's a career averager of 20 points per game, close to 5 rebounds, close to 3 assists. So is he like a shooting guard? Yes, he's definitely what you call, a swing man in the NBA. And I think adding him to the mix with Philadelphia, if you were to do that trade for Ben Simmons, the Sixers don't necessarily take a step back. They don't necessarily lose. Maybe they definitely lose at the defensive spot, losing Ben Simmons, but they're not going to be hurting because then that's an upgrade at the two guard position, adding Andrew Wiggins there from Seth Curry. Or even if you want to put Andrew Wiggins at the 3, you have Seth Curry, Wiggins, you're going to have to definitely figure out what you're going to do with the point guard spot. Then you got Tobias Harris and Joel Embiid. So really what you're definitely saying is we're going to put all our hopes on Joel Embiid. We're going to surround him with shooters and a scorer in Andrew Wiggins and hope that he gets off. So this is definitely a trade that both teams, I think, should definitely want to explore, definitely put some thought into it. Do I think it'll happen? I don't know. I don't really think so. I mean, there's a lot of more, plausible deals out there in the NBA that could occur. Like, for example, Brooklyn trading Torian Prince for Thaddeus Young in Chicago. I think that's more doable. Those salaries line up. They both meet a need that both teams are looking for. So things like that are more realistic. But to do such a drastic change, where both teams have invested a lot in those particular players, or hoping to invest a lot in those particular players, that's where if you're a GM and you pull the trigger, those are like, ballsy moves. Those are, if it works out, you're definitely going to be in contention for GM of the year. I don't necessarily see a lot of GMs taking those risks in the NBA, especially in today's climate. They have to factor in the salaries. They don't want to get stuck with a bad contract, the health of the players, etc. Ben Simmons, I think, is coming back from a little injury. So all those things are things that have to be factored in. But if Ben Simmons were on Golden State and Andrew Wiggins were the Sixers, it definitely helps both teams, and it would definitely shake up the landscape of the NBA. You have to put Golden State back in the driver's seat of being one of the best teams, if not the best team in the league, if that were to happen. Remember, Steph Curry, the 2-time MVP award winner, one of the greatest shooters in NBA history, he really changed the game. Like, with his absence in the NBA, the league went back to being a big man league. Now, if you give him the right players to help him play off ball, because that's what Ben Simmons will have him do, a player that can attack the rim with ferocity, defend, and score down low, and then be able to kick out to a shooter like Steph Curry. Because with the great passing ability that Ben Simmons has, that team becomes very dangerous, very dangerous. And I'm not even factoring the fact that when Clay comes back, how that'll be. So that's just food for thought. People thinking about, Giannis should come, all that. That I think Golden State should really keep an eye out on and really strongly consider making a move if things don't work out early is to get Ben Simmons onto their roster. And then also, too, if they have to give it up and Sixers are making a tough decision on who they have to go with, and I say like, hey, go with Embiid. It's a big man league right now at this point in time. Roll the dice, see what you can do. Surround them with shooters. Add a scorer, go-to scorer in Wiggins there. See what happens there. You obviously have always had to upgrade for the point guard position because a lot of people have debated whether or not Ben Simmons is actually a point guard. Should he be playing that point guard role in Philadelphia? So you have nothing to lose there. But I would really like my money, on Golden State if they were to land Ben Simmons. I mean, that right there, the way that they're going to play with Steve Kerr, they're going to be playing fast and furious. They're going to be guns a blazing. Kelly Oubre, that's a player that likes to get into, he likes to get rough with a lot of players, and he's a player that, when challenged, he can commit himself to the defensive end. When he needs to score, he can do that and shoot. So, and he's athletic too. So that right there, I think Golden State will kind of pattern themselves after, how the league was with the Lakers going to 3 straight finals. The Lakers were back in the late 2000s, early 2010s, from '08 to 2010, when the Lakers were going to those championship runs. What people don't realize, not the fact that they had one of the best players in the league in Kobe Bryant, but the Lakers really beat teams because of that size. I mean, look at that front line. You have Lamar Odom, 6'10", Pau Gasol, Andrew Bynum, both 7-footers or over 7 foot. So, I mean, you're definitely dealing with players with the length and the size, and you have great defenders at the perimeter, and Kobe Bryant, Derek Fisher, before, age caught up to him, he was still another scrappy, feisty defender. And then, like I said, with the size and the interior being protected with Andrew Bynum. So the Lakers, really, as great of an offensive team as they weren't lacking defensively too either. Remember, Kobe was making all-NBA defensive teams during that era too as well. So that is what I would see if Ben Simmons were to be on Golden State. They would definitely match, the defense of a lot of teams because they have They have Draymond Green. They have Ben Simmons. But here's a twist in things. Where I was going with the Laker point is the Lakers lost to the Mavericks in 2011 because the Mavericks were able to basically match up with the Lakers. And on top of not only matching up with the Lakers, they were able to play a faster style of game, which is what I was trying to get at, that Golden State would be able to emulate. Despite a team like the Lakers now having size on their side, Golden State being able to play fast and play that type of flow offense that Dallas was doing back in 2011, they can beat the Lakers. Especially with the three-point shooting of Steph Curry. They can beat the Lakers because that is what Dallas in 2011 did to the Lakers. They bombed them with the 3-ball with Dirk Nowitzki and Jason Terry. So can you imagine Steph, the greatest shooter of all time? He being freed up? So, I mean, it'll definitely be a long night for teams if they were to really go up against, somebody like a Golden State with Ben Simmons. I mean, it'd definitely be a long night. They'll definitely change it. And as I'm talking, I'm just looking up this 2011 Dallas Mavericks team. I mean, they obviously started 2 7-footers with Tyson Chandler, I believe, and Dirk Nowitzki right there. But, just looking at them, even during that Lakers series where they swept the Lakers, they didn't even have a single player average in double figures in rebounding. Not a single player average in double figures in rebounding. Neither did the Lakers. But the point being that I'm trying to make is they had the matchup. They can match up in size, and they played a faster game. They were able to beat the Lakers in an area where the Lakers were lagging. The Lakers were a slow team. So they were going to beat them with speed. I don't see the Lakers being a fast team today, 2020. So Golden State can beat them with speed. And this would definitely change the complexity of the game because, like I said, the NBA went back to being a big man game the minute Steph Curry was out. Steph Curry comes back, hey, things can go back to being hey, we need 3-and-D type of players. We need to play fast. It could go back to being somewhat of a small ball type of game. But who knows? I want to hear what y'all have to say. Like, comment, subscribe down below. I'm out.